With New Light and Shadowkeep launching in September, and so many new players expected to come to Destiny's franchise, one area I would like to see improvement in is communication. Hello and welcome to another Embrace Destiny video. Kaz PhD here. Thank you so much for stopping by. Today continues our video series on improving Destiny's immersion, this time focusing on communication between the players and Bungie. In their Shadowkeep reveal, one developer stated that the only two groups responsible for the direction of this franchise were Bungie and the player community. This is one of those statements that both is and isn't obvious, that is both revolutionary and yet something which seems like it should have been always there. However you want to look at it, Bungie has stated that they wish the process, the direction for this franchise to be more collaborative with the player community, and handing over some agency to the players is a big step, really. Before we can improve, we must stock on where we are and where we have come from. Now, call me old or old-fashioned, but I've always found it funny in an irritating way that the majority of information about this game is not found in the game itself. While many other games may include patch notes, updates, information on story and enemy forces, even end credits, Bungie has often externalized it. This has caused two major effects. The first is confusion and frustration from the community. Destiny 1 barely indicated what mission to do next, who the enemies were, or details of their motivation, tips on how to play, and this made a lot of people either really frustrated and lost, or, I'm sure, disinterested. Much of this is carried over to Destiny 2. Don't believe me? Well, a common joke / source of frustration in the community involves new Guardians not knowing how to activate the Taken Blight heroic event. I mean, it's so obvious, it's just random, right? Based on the number of Guardians running around. The second effect has been the growth of the community. Bungie's forums, various subreddits, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, and numerous community-made resources and guides have arisen to help improve the communication, make sense of this growing and changing franchise. I've said it before and I'll say it again. While I love how involved and expanding the Destiny community is, I get frustrated thinking about how little information has been communicated to us in-game. Of course, in the age we live in, Bungie doesn't really have to. If you have a problem, Google it, and then gain access to the greater community there. However, official communication from the developer should be more clearly presented and available to the player, and not just if the player follows you on Twitter or remembers to read the blog post every Thursday. The reason I'm insisting that this is important, why it's discussed here and why it should be improved, is that if you want to ensure that your players even know the barest of information, that information must be included in the game. Often whenever a seemingly obvious suggestion is made on the Destiny of the Game subreddit, many people comment by saying that those who know enough to visit the site are not in need of the advice. Recently, the game saw an immense improvement in this area, namely in the title cards. Logging into the game, these cards have begun informing us of what's coming next week, what changes are expected, and that has been fantastic. It's great to see this and keeps everyone more informed. One tiny suggestion I would like to make here is to include the Bungie.net link. Even just a "for more information please see Bungie.net" would help. In a recent post from Bungie regarding changes to Eververse, Luke Smith made summarized comments for Twitter. Perhaps those could be added to the game in a title card. Maybe each This Week at Bungie could have a summary provided in-game via a title card, asking players to seek out Bungie.net for more info. Or, maybe, since the blog post is already written and provided in a multitude of languages, perhaps we could receive notice of this blog post in-game. I'm not the first person to make this suggestion. People have been calling for a message board, messages to our postmaster for years. The fact that we don't have this by now is a little strange to me. The TWAB, This Week at Bungie, is the official word from the developer, indicating definitive changes coming to the game. And the fact that none of this is communicated directly to the player is negligent, in my opinion. Similarly, the game could and maybe should make more reference to the Destiny app. Not only is the app very useful for finding fire teams and organizing our gear, but all the communication, all the blog posts are filtered through there. However, there is no mention of this app on any official Bungie posts. Again, one could just Google it, but mentioning it will help people know of it, use it, and if Bungie continues with their push alerts for the game, something they tried a few months ago, it would go a lot better if players knew of the app in the first place. Next, the TWAB itself. I have a minor suggestion here. I think it would be beneficial for an extra segment to be added to This Week at Bungie, focusing on a helpful resource made by the community. Much like the community spotlight that they used to do and do occasionally, this would be a place to focus on the great work and help being provided by the players themselves. What kinds of things, do you ask? Well, people make infographics each week to help organize the milestones and challenges. Others have made escalation protocol calendars to help you know which weapons are available and when. Lore websites, video guides, this community is honestly flourishing with information, and it would be nice if Bungie took more notice of it. Now, I'm not talking about promotion exactly. The idea isn't to officially put the Bungie approved stamp on something, but it's more to say, hey, this is pretty cool, check it out. I don't know about you, but seeing 2 movies of the week every week, where one is usually a parody and the other is a PvP montage, it gets a little stale after a while. By pointing the community in the direction of helpful resources, Bungie would do 3 things at once. Acknowledge and support community involvement, offer help and communication in a low-effort way, and grow the community by making this new connection. I think that Bungie has traditionally been quiet, preferring to wait until something is made official before discussing it. Just considering how passionate this community is and how easily an offhand comment can be dragged through the mud or fervently believed, I understand. However, I think that this caution has actually made the problem worse. If you hold back from saying something, then what you do say has greater weight. This will likely pressure you to say less and less, and well, we've been here before with Bungie. Lately, we have seen more of the company. They were all over E3 and before, and the community managers seem to be speaking up more and more. Not just saying, we're listening or we're passing along the feedback, but providing players with reasons why things are the way they are. My next suggestion is that Bungie continues this conversation. Beyond community summits, which are awesome and I really hope to be invited someday, I believe Bungie has to change the way it makes changes. Currently, Bungie finds a problem, either through playtesting, community commentary, or both. Their teams run through the issue, consider ways to fix and balance it, and when it is finally decided, they make the announcement, usually in the TWAB. By that point, it is too late to change the direction. The change is already scheduled for the next patch, and no amount of community commentary can change it. If Bungie decides later that they went too far, or they were inspired by comments from the community to strike a new balance, they have to wait maybe another month or so for another patch. We have seen this happen quite often. From weapon balancing to Nova Warp, it has been a major reason people feel the balancing takes too long. Because even if a problem is identified before its intended fix, it takes another few months usually to re-fix it. So, suggestion, announce changes before they're finalized. Now, I'm not saying that the community knows better than Bungie. It's their game, their vision, and they see things we do not. However, the same could be said about the community itself, and a playtesting audience of thousands or hundreds of thousands or millions will always outnumber the quality assurance team of a studio. While a game should not be made by committee, surely there are good ideas, suggestions, or even inspiration arising from bad community ideas. These could be had and maybe should be considered before locking down a change. Now, granted, this may already be happening. Usually when people complain about something, they detail the problem and their own solutions. However, when Bungie says, we're nerfing this by X%, perhaps enough player commentary comes back to make Bungie think, maybe X was too much. Currently, when that happens, they just let it play out and then maybe fix it later. In any case, I think if Bungie was a little more forward about changes they want to make, and continue detailing the how and the why, community commentary may help find the right balance, rather than the extremes that Bungie always seems to bounce between. So, to recap, keep those title cards coming, Bungie. Please add links in those cards to the TWAB. Consider adding community resources in the weekly blog post and reminders of the Destiny app. And finally, consider engaging in discussions on changes to come so that the community can help find the right balance. In any case, Bungie has been showing improvement here, and I'm excited for the new direction this franchise is taking. I hope that we see continued and improving communication, and I'm glad that Bungie has been so open regarding the community, our involvement, and perspective. That's the video for today. I hope you enjoyed. What do you think? What could Bungie do better? How could my ideas be improved? Let's keep the commentary civil as always. Thank you very much for listening. And if you'd like, feel free to join my Discord. Check me out on Twitch and Twitter. Links are all down below. And I'll see you all next time. Bye now.